Hello, and welcome to this episode of the State of Mirrorless. Tonight I will say, because our guest is 10 hours away from me in terms of time zone. It is early afternoon here, but it's actually deep in the night or early morning where Ron Murray is, which is in Alaska, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Ron?
That is correct. Yep, it's 5 a.m.
So thanks for being with us tonight or today or this morning, as you would like to say. I realize it's a bit of a sacrifice for you to be up this early to talk with us. So, but there is a reason for that. So, can you tell us a bit about where you are and why you are there, and maybe what you did tonight or what you do in general? And why especially this is the reason why we have you here.
Yeah, absolutely. So to fill everybody in, I'm up in Fairbanks, Alaska, and we have some beautiful night sky here, which is the Northern Lights. And so my wife and I run photography workshops teaching people how to photograph the Northern Lights. And so we just got back from an excursion.
Is this the season for Northern Lights? How are the conditions?
It is, yep. They are pretty good. We've been fighting a little bit of clouds, but pretty much in Alaska, the aurora season starts about September 1st, sometimes even early August, and we go into about the middle of April. Great.
And you bring out people to shoot them. You give them instructions, tutorials, training. Is that what you do in this season normally?
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of both. We take folks out, we teach them how to set up their cameras and how to make great aurora photos. And then we try to make portraits of them in front of the aurora as well. And we also try to educate them a little bit about what causes the Northern Lights and how they can forecast it on their own.
How did you get started with this? Is this something that you've been doing for many years, or is it something new for you? Well, what's your background?
Well, I started in 2007, kind of from Anchorage, Alaska, and then I moved up to Fairbanks the following year, and I went out and started spending every bit of time I could out under the aurora, and just fell in love with it. And so that's all I ever wanted to do, and so fortunately I found a way to make a living doing that.
So you turn your passion into a real job. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think most photographers would love to do, or what many actually manage to do, I think, in the end. Great. So when you go out to shoot the aurora, what is in your camera bag? What equipment do you use? Camera lenses, tripods? What's the recommended kit for doing that kind of photography?
Well, that's a little tricky. I get to play a little bit more with more gear than I used to, because we do rentals as well. So I've got a lot of things at my disposal, but right now my primary focus has been video. Sony, as we know, came out with the A7S last year. And for the first time in my career, that made real-time video possible. So I shoot primarily the A7S. I also have a 6000 that I really love. I have the A7S II on pre-order, and I'm anxiously awaiting for that to arrive. And then in my kit also is the Shogun, the Atomo Shogun, so that I can capture in 4K. And then I also have a little RX100 Mark IV that I just picked up that I'm absolutely in love with, and believe it or not, makes stunning aurora photos.
So it's mostly a matter of having great performance in low light, great sensitivity.
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
So the A7S, and especially the A7S II, is pretty new as a camera. What were you using before that?
I shot Canon my entire career before that, and it was the A7S when it came out. the camera store guys came out with us for a night, and he had just gotten one, and he showed it to me, and I was just blown away. And I said, I have to have that. Order it. And so he got one in for me, and then I had picked up a second one, and using them a lot.
Oops, you were frozen a bit, but I think,
did we freeze?
Yeah, I think that the concept got through. So the aurora must be pretty faint, so you need to use high ISO or long exposure. So what are the best settings for
it varies. Believe it or not, the northern lights can be really faint, and they can be really, really intense. And so you start out somewhere around 1600 ISO, f2.8 or faster lens if you have it. It's tough to get a wide angle faster than 2.8. So 2.8, and then you're between 5 and 10 seconds on the exposure time. You just adjust as the lights get brighter or dimmer.
How does it work with video, where you cannot have 5
Video's a different beast. So with the A7S, I can crank the ISO up to 40,000, even 56,000. And then I'm shooting 24 frames a second, so I'm 1/25th of a second. And I'm shooting with a 1.4 lens so that I can bring in all of that light as quickly as possible to get that shutter speed for the video.
And do you need to do a lot of cleanup of those images in post-processing, or they come out? Does the video come out pretty clean and usable out of the camera?
Yeah, it does. I do a little bit of neat video treatment to it to clean up the noise, but it's a lot better than I would have thought. I tried a couple of years ago to shoot with a Canon 6D, and it was just unusable, and I was embarrassed to even share the video. So I'm pretty blown away, and I'm hoping that the A7S will be even just slightly better performing, or the Mark II rather.
Just curious, I never seen the Northern Lights, I have to admit. Something that is on the top of my bucket list to maybe go someday to Norway or Alaska, a place like that. But when you do a video of the lights themselves, or you have people, or what kind of videos you do?
Yeah, it depends on how. Really, it's dictated by what the aurora is doing. So if they're excellent, I'm primarily focused on the aurora. If they're kind of subtle and they're not dancing a lot, then we'll put people in front and try to use the landscape and the folks and what's going on and show the behind the scenes kind of stuff.
So when I see one of those videos with the lights dancing, as you say, is that normal speed, or is it typically accelerated? Or is it what is the speed of movement? I have no idea, honestly.
Yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of folks don't know. And because time-lapse traditionally has been the only way to capture the motion and the movement of the aurora, most of what you've probably seen in the past has all been time-lapse. It wasn't, again, until the A7S came out that we could capture it in real time in any kind of quality. And so now you want to look at the video and see if that's distinguished. But if you're seeing stars moving across the sky, it's probably time-lapsed. Mm-hmm. If you're seeing more subtle things like the trees blowing around in the wind, then it's the real-time video. Most of what I post anymore is real-time.
Okay, good. I will have a look at your videos. I just saw your photos until now, so I will get a better idea of what to expect, because yeah, it's somewhat for us who have never seen them. I tend to think it's the experience is not what you see in photos. You don't know exactly how much enhancement the colors underwent, or how much the frame rate of the video actually is, and so on. So having a real video is probably going to tell us more about that phenomenon. Okay,
absolutely.
Great. So you said, let's talk about still pictures, because this is what probably most people are interested into.
Absolutely.
So relatively high ISO, like 1600, wide aperture, f2.8, or even larger. So it looks like a typical setting that you use to shoot the stars. like you want to shoot the Milky Way, you would have those kind of settings with a few 10, 20 seconds, depending on your ISO and so on. So that works as well as for the Northern Lights. You have any other tips, suggestions for people who would want to do that? Maybe keep your equipment warm.
Yeah, yeah. No, you know, as you're saying with the stars, one of the issues that you come across when you try to photograph Milky Way or stars is that you get star trails if you have the shutter open too long. The aurora can move really quickly at times, and so, excuse me, you're ideally trying to get the fastest shutter speed possible. So with something like the A7S, where you can bump the ISO, or the A7R2, so you can, I would push even 6400, maybe 12,800 with the A7S, no problem. And that way I can get a really fast shutter speed, maybe down to a second or faster. So that's helpful. Staying warm is, of course, important. Without the operator, the camera is no good. So dressing appropriately is one of the hardest things. We get down to -40, which is the same Celsius or Fahrenheit. So that's an issue. And keeping lots of spare batteries. Not to rag on Sony, I love them, but their battery life is their Achilles heel. And especially in those extreme cold conditions, I'm getting about 10 minutes out of the battery. So I either carry about half a dozen in my pocket where it's warm, or I will bring an external battery source and power the camera off of that.
Okay, I will expose more of my own ignorance of the subject, but
no worries.
Trying to understand this fact here. You said the season starts beginning of September and up into April. So that's essentially winter. And well, I think pretty much everybody now knows that the Northern Lights, the aurora, is caused by charged particles that are emitted by our sun. They get trapped by the Earth's magnetic field, and when they hit the particles of the atmospheric gases, the air, they react and they emit those lights, right? Am I right?
Yep, you're absolutely right.
So what I don't understand is, why do you only see them in winter? I mean, the sun is not undergoing a seasonal cycle. What makes why can you go and shoot them in summer where it's much warmer and you don't have to go?
That's a great question. Because we can't see them during the daylight. So as strong as they can be, the daylight still overpowers them. So they're occurring in the summertime. But then at the northern latitudes where they occur, we have 24 hours of daylight.
Yeah, you see, learn something. That's great. All right, I would like, if you don't mind, to show one of your pictures. Let me find that. I have it here because it's. I selected that looking at your website. It's. I think it's representative of your style, which is just not the Northern Lights, as we said. It often includes people. And I think this has an interesting story behind it. So let's just see if I can share my screen. 1 second. I'm trying to find the buttons on the screen. Yep. Come on. There we go.
Oh yeah, Tony and Teresa.
Tony and Teresa. So it's a great photo. And
so
just before
it was December, and we had taken them out to this location. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to point people to your website, so while they can have a look at the other photos of your portfolio that you have there, so they get an idea. That would be, what's the RonnMurrayPhoto.com, right? Okay.
2 N's, Ron. Yeah.
2 N's. Perfect. So yeah, please go ahead and tell us a bit about this photo. Still there? Can you hear me?
Did I lose you?
Yeah, you were frozen for a bit. I was asking, can you tell us a bit about this photo?
Yeah, absolutely. So on this night, we had a good group. We headed up in the hills to get up above the ice fog a little bit. It was nice and cold that night, and this couple was with us. They were there on the workshop, and so they were making photos. They were sharing a camera, and we got to the part of the night where we were making aurora portraits. And so they were doing these poses, and Tony, the gentleman here, posed her up, and he dropped to his knee. He surprised all of us. He didn't tell any of us, and proposed to her. So we made him stop and freeze right in that position so that we could make the photo.
That's an awesome story. And did she say yes?
She did. He did not have the ring with him because he was afraid he would lose it in the snow. And we were in a rental van, so we didn't have our regular tire chains, and we got stuck. And this guy was so pumped up on love, he pretty much single-handedly picked the van up and pushed it out of the snow.
So great story. Sorry to spoil the poetry of the moment a bit, but I just want some technical information about this. So this is
Sure.
there is obviously some artificial lights. Could be I don't know, the truck's headlights or a flash. Can you tell us a bit about how you lit this photo?
Yeah, so I think back then I was still using a mini mag flashlight, and so we would basically expose the same way you would for the aurora. The people in the photo have to hold still, and you use any kind of light source. You can use an iPhone, a mini mag. Flash is a little too intense for that type of an exposure, but anything like that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I mean, if you hadn't told me, I would have thought that you would have used like a speed light or some strobes and so on. But actually thinking about it, you have a very high ISO. So any stronger light would blow out everything, and you need a
Exactly.
faint one. Yeah, makes total sense. So you don't need to carry around a strobe or something, even an iPhone.
Yeah, no.
Would do. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks. Great photo. And of course, I would invite everyone to check out your website. There's some very, very interesting work there. And even unusual like this, not many people would think probably of photographing people in front of the Northern Lights. And I guess for them, it's a great thing to bring home, to have a print
Absolutely.
of them in that scenario. Is not something that you can get everywhere. Excellent. All right, so I would like to ask you if you would like to share any bit of information about you that not many people know, maybe.
Sure. Something most people wouldn't guess is I'm probably a little older than I look. Most people think I'm in my 20s, but I'm actually 35, and I'm the oldest of 12 children. So I was raised in Idaho, and my parents had 12 kids, and I was the first of them.
Wow. And do any of your brothers and sisters dabble in photography as well? Share the same talent as you?
One of my siblings plays with it every once in a while, but I don't think he has quite the what's the word I want to use? The passion to do it when it's tough.
I know. It's something that is on easy on the surface, but if you want to do it like you do, I mean, it takes dedication and time and experience and so
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So finally, I would like to thank you for being with us today. If you want to tell us what's coming up next for you, I think the season just started, so you will be working on this for the next few months.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me. We obviously are just starting our season, as you mentioned. September is one of our busiest months, so we're getting ready to wind down a little bit. October will still be fairly busy, and then the Christmas season's always busy, but the spring is where we see the most guests. And so from February through March is just into April is just really busy. But if folks want to join those workshops, they can find those on our website. We'd love to have some of the guests over, especially from your part of the world. You guys get we don't see as many folks from over there as we do in the States or even Australia or Brazil, because everybody goes to Norway or Iceland, right?
Yeah, Norway,
yeah, we'd love to.
Iceland, those places are a bit easier to reach.
Yes, yes. My wife's from Iceland. She's from Czech, but she spent 10 years in Iceland, and so she began shooting the aurora there. And so it's kind of interesting to compare stories. But yeah, get ready for that. We're going to try to launch a video soon. Hope to get that out, and then we'll continue building on the workshop program, and hopefully we'll do some workshops in Iceland eventually.
Yeah, let us know if you do one in Iceland. That might be a destination that
easier to get
would
to.
love to go to, and easier to get to than Alaska. Might be really
absolutely.
And in the summer, what you do? You just take vacations, relax, or you go shooting?
I used to do a lot of commercial and portrait work, weddings, and but this last summer I was finally able to take a little time off and ride a motorcycle. So hence the longer hair these days.
Do you carry your camera with you, or you just forget about the work and everything?
That is why I bought the RX100, and I absolutely fell in love with that camera over the summer.
Put it in your pocket and forget about it.
Absolutely.
Not forget about it. If you forget about it, you might misplace it and leave it somewhere. Yeah. But forget it. You are carrying a camera because you don't feel the weight. That's especially when you're riding a motorcycle. Yeah, the RX100 is a great little camera. I hear.
It's it's kind of blown my mind. It's I tell you what, I used it a lot this summer, and I didn't find myself missing a DSLR or a full frame. It would do most anything I wanted to do.
If I remember correctly, I was talking about that with Ian Norman in one of my previous interviews. He's a specialist in shooting the Milky Way, night sky, stars, and so on. And he too was really blown away by the image quality of that camera. Really, really great. All right. So finally, if you want to let us know again the URL, the address of your website, we will put it in the blog post with a link to the photo that we just shared, so people can have a look at it from close up. Where can people find you?
So I'll give you two URLs, and they both lead to the same place. One will be easier for folks to remember. The main URL is ronmurrayphoto.com, and it's 2 N's in Ron. But to make it easier for everybody, alaskaaurorators.com will also take you to the same website.
Great. Are you active on any social media? Can you find
Absolutely. Facebook, and trying to do Instagram a little bit more. I have a Twitter account, but I'm not really good at following up on that one. But I like Instagram. That's kind of my favorite go-to spot lately because it's just photo rich and nice place to share your work.
All right.
And be inspired of.
So we'll put links to those two on the show notes. All right. So thanks again. I guess now you might want to get some sleep.
Yes.
Well-deserved sleep. We didn't see that, but it was about 5 a.m. right where you are.
Yeah, it's almost 6 now. Yep.
Yeah, almost 6. So yep, have a good sleep. And
all right. Thank you for having me.
Hope to maybe see you one day in Iceland or Alaska.
Sounds like a plan. I'll let you know when we're headed that way.
Okay. Goodbye. Take care.
All right. Thanks.